Hello and welcome to another Pauper video. Today we're going to be playing Blue-White Familiars. This deck is one of my favorite decks to play in the format, and it just got a new upgrade with Meeting the Minds, which we've talked about a little bit before. It's Convoke, draw 2 cards. So you just tap your creatures to draw 2 cards off paying the mana cost instead of tapping any of your lands, which means that you can pay this when you're tapped out, you can pay it and leave up mana for counterspells. It's pretty sick. So what we're doing here is we're trying to capitalize on Meeting the Mind specifically, and I'm building my deck around a couple of things that happened in the format. So Meeting the Minds, we have 4 of these in the deck, so we're actually going to trim on a Muldrifter to make space for extra things that we want to play. We're going to be playing 1 Sage's Road Denizen as the win condition. I'm playing 3 counter spells in the main instead of, I was testing Saiba, I think I'm going to not play it for now. 1 Last Breath in the main deck here. And this is specifically because we don't have the Modern Age, so I want to be able to kill flyers from Mono Blue, from Boros decks, stuff like that. It's also very good in the mirror. I'm playing 2 Lose Focus and 1 Prohibit. Lose Focus has Replicate for a blue, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Why am I playing this? Because of Panza. Because I want to make sure that I am able to handle the Panza decks in the main deck. I'm also playing a counter spell in the sideboard with 2 more negates. I don't really know why people are doing this, but it's a bigger part of the meta now, so we're playing it. Lose Focus and Prohibit as 3 counter spells that can help fight against fairies as well, and also are good in the mirror. The rest of the deck is basically the same as previous videos. The mana base I haven't changed. Tried toying with Evolving Wilds to fight Panza, but it's not really worth it. We've got 4 Flicker effects in Ephemerate and Ghostly Flicker. We've got our 4 Faithfuls, Familiars, Preordains, 4 Seagate Oracles, 3 Arcane Mancers, 4 Snaps, and then just the 3 Muldrifters here. It's kind of strange, but it ends up being that you're going lower to the ground by playing Meeting the Minds, and 3 Muldrifter has been fine. Would like to play another one, but we're trimming on some of our interaction or our combo, and I think I want to max out on those still as well. Plus, with all of our flickers, we're going to draw into them faster. In the sideboard, I'm playing 1 more Last Breath. Last Breath, if you didn't see it, is exile target creature with power 2 or less. Its controller gains 4 life. So this is really good against the mirror to exile the Sunscape Familiar, Mancer. It basically exiles every single part of the mirror, obviously. Really good against any fairies decks. And now it gives us 6 ways to interact with walls with the 4 snaps and 2 Last Breaths. So that becomes a better matchup. It also helps me win against elves. And we're going to be playing 1 counterspell over the Dispel. This is in conjunction with playing 3 Revoke Existences here. Dispel was mostly to handle being able to resolve your Dust to Dusts, but we have 3 Revokes and 4 Dust to Dust, so I feel a little bit better against Affinity this way. And then we have the 4 Hydroblast for burn and 2 negates. One thing you're seeing here is there's no Prismatic Strands. I've been able to beat burn now without the Prismatic Strands. They're slowing down a little bit to have their 8 Reckless Impulses. So we're going to be relying on stuff like Last Breath to get rid of their creatures instead. If we do run into a Kuldotha Rebirth version, it'll be a little bit harder, but with Seagate Oracle on the table, you have extra blockers. So that has been able to help and allow us to start trimming on the Prismatic Strands. So if you are interested in playing this deck, if you want the sideboard guide for this specific list is up on the Patreon, patreon.com/calicais. If you enjoy this content, give me a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the matches. Thanks. Okay, round 1 versus Gregorus Util. I think the last time I met them, they were on Fairies, but I don't really remember. This is a pretty medium hand, to be honest, but I think I'm going to keep it. We're on the play. Grab an island. We have a Sage's Road Denizen we can play out to help cast the Meeting of the Minds, or as a blocker. So let's just get it done. Okay, grabbing the island and passing the turn. We could also upkeep. Okay, they're on burn, so I'm going to cycle for an island on upkeep, just to thin the deck a little bit. And play island, pass. Turn off my upkeep stop. Let's see if we can handle this burn deck. So I play a Flame Breather. Our plan is to snap that Flame Breather, and get it off the table. Play Sage of Denizen as a blocker. Pass the turn. Don't really care if this dies. I can just straight up block. No big deal. If we force them to use interaction on it right now, then they can't replay their Flame Breather, which would be good for us. I'm gonna bolt it. Now they play a Swisty. Now they play Bolt. Chain Lightning. Okay, so we take 4. Not great. I think I'm just going to Mancer for the snap. Pass the turn. They play a land, which means they could have the Searing Blaze here. 5 cards in hand, one of them is the Flame Breather. They have the Searing Blaze. Pass the turn. A bit too slow. We shouldn't have gambled on them not being red. This will put us to 8. Potentially 3 burn spells in hand. Lava Dart's a beater for sure. This puts us to 2. Let's preordain. So we find a Last Breath. Bottom. You can keep the Last Breath. I'm really looking for a Faithful right now or some other blocker. Bottom these. Although this could put us to 3. There's the Faithful. Okay. So we go Faithful. Snap this. Untap, untap. You're going to pass the turn. I'm going to respond to whatever spell they cast by Last Breathing their Swift Spear, so that we can like block and blast and keep going. So they have Swift Spear and Flame Breather in hand. We're at 3. If they go for Bolt Face, then we don't have any choice other than to cast Meaning of the Minds to try to live. We play a Swift Spear. I'm going to block. Lava Dart you. Last Breath this. That's the turn. So they can kill my Faithful now. They decide not to. I'm going to cast Meaning of the Minds. Go to 3. Play this. Preordain, go to 4. We're clawing our way back, but we definitely do not want lands. Oh geez. Oh geez. So they can kill us with Bolt, Lava Dart. Seems like they're up on all creatures right now. Synthesizer. Okay. Bolt off the top kills us. They find a mountain. They're likely going to play the Flame Breather. They play Searing Blaze, and that kills us. Alright. So we're bringing in 4 Hydroblast, 1 Last Breath, cutting Ephemerate, Sage's Row Denizen, Mancer, 2 Loose Focus. Remember, I think Loose Focus is going to lose value over time, and we're just like maxing out on Hydroblast, some interaction, and we can have 1 more counterspell. The Ephemerate is a little bit of a liability in the early game. And the Archaeomancer is later for closing the game, so it's not that useful. Pretty costly as well. That's why I'm cutting it. We're going to play first. We're going to mulligan. Ah, man. Okay, so we went a 1-lander into a no-lander. We're going to keep this. Get rid of that. It feels like we have to play bottom the Mortuary Mire. And then hope we... I mean... Unfortunately, we have to try and find a land somehow, but I think top decking a land is more likely than living through everything. Okay, Meaning of the Minds is pretty decent. I think that like bottoming the Seagate Oracle was too much of a risk because we need at least some card draw in hand. Could have bottomed the Hydroblast, but I feel like I want that for interaction. So we'll see if that was a really risky play or not. They play a Mountain. Play a Reckless Impulse. I'm just going to counter it while I can. See if I can draw a land and play the Seagate Oracle. I miss. Okay, it was too much of a risk to do what I did. I'm not sure why they led on a turn 2 Reckless Impulse, but if they are doing that, it makes sense to just try and get rid of it. They find a Lightning Bolt, Flame Breather. I think we're going to just die because we didn't have the 3rd land there. And that is a risk. Any untapped land lets us cast Meaning of the Minds or Seagate Oracle. They're going to bolt us or raise my land. Faithful, pass the turn. What a jerk face. Okay, we get an island. Play the island. Pass the turn. We're not interested in blocking, so we can cast this Meaning of the Minds. Our opponent casts a Synthesizer. Drawing some cards. Another Flame Breather. I think I'm going to block now. They decide to pass. So let's play the Seagate Oracle. More blockers on the table. I want the Last Breath. Pass the turn. So here I can Last Breath, a Flame Breather, and cast Meeting of the Minds. 2 mana. They cast a Ren's Resolve, drawing 2 cards and dealing 2 damage. Find a Chain Lightning and a Ren's Resolve. So they could Chain Lightning the Seagate Oracle or go face. They're going to raise. Okay. We're just going to Last Breath their Flame Breather, play the Chancery, pass the turn. They're very interested in destroying our lands. We'll just keep playing lands. They have the Chain Lightning for the Seagate Oracle. We're just going to play Ren's Resolve, finding Mountain Lava Dart. We're going to go land. Probably just going to cast Chain Lightning face now. If they haven't been interested in taking out the Seagate Oracle, I guess maybe they just go face. Okay, go face. You're not going to pay. So if we find a familiar, we can cast both Meeting of the Minds. Right now we're going to gain, what's it for? No. Okay. I think we can do that. Let's go familiar. Let's Meeting of the Minds. Draw some cards. Pretty cool that I called it there. Hydroblast. Interesting. So we can Hydroblast the Flame Breather, but I don't think we need to. Play a Synthesizer. So do I care about that? I think I'm going to let that resolve. And they find a Mountain. So they have Lava Dart and 3 cards in hand. Synthesizer's a bit scary, but we'll be okay. We have more card draw. I was expecting a Searing Blaze here, and they do have it, so we're going to counter. Keep our familiar alive. We're going to 12, passing the turn. So if they attack with a Flame Breather, they're just going to Lava Dart face. Okay. We go to 9. So we're going to go Meeting of the Minds, tap, 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 tap. That allows us to play the Chancery, pick up the Plains, draw some cards. Okay, we can also just, we have nothing else. I think I'll go Faithful, play Archaeomancer, gain 3, the Anti-Bolt, Meeting of the Minds, cast Meeting of the Minds. Well, we don't have to cast it right now. Let's just pass. Well, actually, I'm thinking it over again. I want to cast Meeting of the Minds now because they could draw into a Red Blast. There we go. Look at us. We're tapped out. We're drawing 2 anyway. Reckless Impulse. This is 16. They have the raise. They're going to blow up our Chancery. How many raises have they moved? 1, 2. That's a 3rd raise. All right. We have a raise. To play a Thermo Alchemist. We are going to draw. We'll just block here. I don't know. It's kind of like just a long slog post board. Okay, do we want anything? We have nothing in the graveyard. Cycle this for an island. We're going to lead on the Seagate Oracle before playing a land, in case we want to play the Chancery. I think I will take the Preordain here. So we'll play land Preordain. Kind of looking for, okay, well, let's bottom the Chancery, pop the Mancer, pass the turn. No attacks. They crack the Synthesizer, find another Thermo Alchemist, which they likely can't play. They can play. Okay. The Thermo Alchemist. So now they're going to be dealing us a bunch of damage each turn. I still feel that I want to Mancer for the Meeting of the Minds. Alright, whatever. We'll just Hydroblast the Thermo Alchemist. Get 1 off the table. Gain 3. Play Chancery. Pass the turn, picking up the Plains. If we find a Flicker, they're super dead. We can Flicker for Meeting of the Minds and cast over and over. They crack the Synth. He's going to F6. And the Searing Blaze again. Okay. I wonder what they'll kill. Maybe the Mancer? Opponent has not played any relics, so I'm a little confused. Usually they just go for the relic player. I'm going to Searing Blaze us and put us to 20, killing the familiar. Okay. Oh, actually they put us at 17, or where are we? 18. Okay, they only have 2 pingers. La la la. Waiting for our opponent to pass the turn. They're going to bolt something. Chain Lightning the Archaeomancer. Okay. We go to 15. We're not paying. I think what I would like to do here is just draw cards. So I'm going to Archaeomancer for the... Did they scoop? What's happening? We're going to Archaeomancer for Meeting of the Minds. A familiar. We just top deck a familiar no matter what. Okay. Play Archaeomancer. Get Meeting of the Minds. Cast it. Bing. And they just scoop to the card draw. And then after that, I was going to draw 2, play the Mortuary Mire, get back to Arcane-Mancer. Next turn, play Arcane-Mancer for Meaning of the Minds again. Just keep gaining life. Faithfuls are strong. So we have 6 removal spells for their pingers, which makes their deck a bit worse. Alright, what do we do here? They're on the play. I want to play Faithful on turn 1, but I also want to hold up the Hydroblast. So I think that since we're on the draw, we go land Hydroblast, and then for turn 2, we go land Faithful Preordain, gaining a life. They mulligan to 6, but we're going to keep. We have ways to get cards. We have interaction. They play a tap land and pass. Land, pass. This gives us something to do with our mana anyway, with the Ash Barrens here. 5 cards in hand. So if they play a Renzo's All, I'll counter it. Thermal Alchemist, also I will counter. Bam. Set them back quite a bit. We go Faithful Preordain. So just sticking to the plan, even though I drew this familiar here. So Broker's Hideout, Meaning of the Minds. Alright, I'm going to take both. We're going to draw into the Meaning of Minds. We can play the Familiar off the Ash Barrens and then cast Meaning of the Minds, or we can just Broker's Hideout into Familiar. So I think I would like to do that. This opens me up to getting hit with a Bolt on my Familiar, but then it doesn't go face. 2 mana draw, gain 3. 2 mana, gain 3. Alright. Passing the turn. Looks like they're going to play the control game. They sacrifice their land to draw a card. They just have nothing going on. What's happening? They raise my island. Okay. Cycle. Pass the turn. Opponent is anti-fun. Killing my lands. Okay. Monastery Swift Spear enters the battlefield. Play a land, indicating that they have a Searing Blaze. I'm going to block. And then when they go for the Searing Blaze, I can just snap the Faithful. Just Chain Lightning, okay. Snap-a-doo. Pass the turn. Faithful. Play the Chancery. We'll pick up our planes. Next turn, if they don't raise us, we can cast the Muldrifter. If they do raise us, we just play the planes again. I think we have won this game, but we'll see. We're at 23. Our opponent has 1 card in hand. I don't have to block here, so I'm not going to. Yep, there's the raise. You're a ridiculous opponent. You're not actually accomplishing anything. Okay. No blocks. Land. Play Sunscape Familiar. Cast Meaning of the Minds. Draw some cards. Now we have Familiar into Drifter Flicker. It's pretty good. We also have Drifter Ephemerate. We can go Drifter Flicker, Drifter Ephemerate. I guess I probably want to just Drifter Flicker. I love the Drifter. And then we'll Flicker on Drifter and Plains. Oh, cancel. Cast Meaning of the Minds. And since we drew the Seagate Oracle, I'm just going to Flicker the island so I can play the Seagate Oracle. Alright. Seagate Oracle. And they conceded, so we win the game. See you in round 2. Or 3. 2. We're here in round 2 versus Luppy. On the play. Okay. Keep it. Turn 2 Familiar, Seagate Oracle, Ephemerate. Do what we can. Sometimes he's been playing Burn, which has been strange, but you know, this hand is okay versus Burn. Pretty medium versus Affinity, but we'll see how it plays with the 7 anti-Affinity in the post board. Land go. We have the 3 lands to cast our Seagate Oracle no matter what. Let's see what our opponent is on. They're on Burn. Let's just pass the turn. Last Breath, their Pinger, untap, and Seagate Oracle. Okay, Swift Spear. Land. Play Swift Spear. Okay, that worked. Land. Play Seagate Oracle. Okay, we'll take the Faithful. They play a Flame Breather. Faithful into Cycle for a Plains. Play the Plains. Going to Ephemerate. Let's just Preordain. Okay, this is pretty good. I'm going to Ephemerate the Seagate Oracle now. Getting my Arcane-Mancer. and then enticing them to kill the Seagate Oracle. They play a Synthesizer to put us to 20. Searing Blaze, so they're gonna Chain Lightning face. Okay. Block, I guess. You're gonna let me have the Ephemerate. Interesting. Searing Blaze goes away. We Ephemerate the Seagate Oracle, draw some more cards. Draw Meaning of the Mines or Chancery. We'll take the Meaning of the Mines. Land. Play Familiar. We're gonna Arcanamancer back the Ephemerate. This is going well. Back the Ephemerate. We're gonna cast the Meaning of the Mines. Bam. Draw some cards. Your turn. That's the turn. It's fine to not block, I think. Cast End the Festivities and maybe a Lava Dart. Just double End the Festivities to kill my Arcanamancer. Okay, no blocks, no attacks. No attacks. Is what I meant to say. Let's evoke the Muldrifter and Ephemerate. We're just crushing here. Kabam! Drawing cards. Alright, I'll play the Chancery, getting my blue sources on board and passing a turn. Now we have a lose focus or prohibit depending on what they do. They are super behind. Land, play Synthesizer, I'll just counter it. Use my mana, stop them from drawing cards. Seems like they've been stuck on a land here. We get to Ephemerate the Muldrifter with counter backup. They conceded. Okay, so let's run it back. Hydroblast, Last Breath, getting rid of these two, and this, and this, and this. Submit. Okay, mulligan. We're gonna keep. What do we get rid of? I think probably the Familiar. Done. The reason being we can get the Faithful into play, we have the Hydroblast to protect it, and then we have turn 3 evoke the Muldrifter or whatever if we need to. And also just Hydroblast the sorry. Wow, I'm having trouble talking today. I guess I need more coffee. I was gonna say we could Hydro the Swift Spear here. I wonder which is gonna deal us more damage over time. Faithful, blow away the 2-drop, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say. Another Swift Spear and a Relic. So I guess I'm just going to block. No, I'm not blocking. Okay. So on my next turn, I can play Familiar and then cast Meaning of the Mines. Okay. Is that what I want to do? Or I can just hold it. Play the Familiar, holding up the Hydroblast or Meaning of the Mines. They're going to get rid of my Hydroblast. Chain Lightning, counter. Ren's Resolve. 1 card in hand, probably not a land. They find 2 lands. So we're just going to not block again. We find a land. Find a Snap. Snap our Swift Spear friend. Okay, untap, untap. Cast Muldrifter. That resolves. We have a land. We can cast Preordain and Meaning of the Mines here. I guess I'll keep both. That's the turn. So let's see. I don't think they're going to misplay the Relic. We could see if we can get them to misplay the Relic. So basically to do that you go like play the Familiar, play the Arcanamancer for the Hydroblast. Familiar, cast Arcanamancer, trying to get the Hydroblast back. They're going to crack the Relic in response. Okay, they did misplay. Cast Meaning of the Mines. Then we get the Meaning of the Mines. Cast Meaning of the Mines. Player land. Pass the turn. Oh my gosh. That felt good. Okay, yield to this turn. Brutal. Well, we could die though. Alright, Mountain. That's not that scary. They play the Mountain. They could have Searing Blaze or something. They get in for 4. Ouch. Oh, it's more than 4. They have the Searing Blaze. Kills the Arcanamancer. They're going to put us to 8. Okay. Cast the Muldrifter. Lives. Guess I'm just going to pass. See what they're up to. They're going to be able to crack the Synthesizer to draw a card. They're going to cast Ren's Resolve. Let's try to counter that. 2 cards in hand. They crack the Synthesizer. They find a Mountain. They're having some weird luck. So let's see. If they have double bolt, that will kill us, right? They do nothing. Wow. So I probably was going to have to make some scary blocks there. I would have maybe double blocked a Swift Spear. All right, we're going to go play another familiar, just since we can. Play this, the Seagate Oracle. You can also snap and replay. Okay, let's take the Faithful. Play the Faithful. We're going to attack with the Mole Drifters. Bam, bam. Snap and replay a Drifter. Snap this guy. Untap. Doesn't really matter what lands we untap. We're just going to leave one island open. Play the Mole Drifter again, and they scoop. We win! On to round 3. We're up versus Adepto. So if they're on familiars, we have a turn 3 Seagate Oracle. I'm just going to keep it. I don't know what they're on. We are on the play, though, so at least we get to be on the play. Land, pass a turn, grabbing an island. They know we're on familiars, so I've been doing almost nothing else. They're going to be on walls. Okay. Well, it's preordained looking for a last breath. We find Snap Meeting the Mines. I like both of those. Chancery, pick up the island. Can't cast the Meeting of the Mines this turn. We play a Battlement and a Querying Ranger. Okay. So for now, we're just going to play out the Seagate Oracle. Looking for an Archaeomancer or a Familiar. Find a Loose Focus. I'll take that. Pass the turn. So we can snap their Battlement and then Loose Focus the Battlement again. Play Caretaker. 3 mana. Cast Lead the Stampede. Okay. We find a bunch of stuff. Guardian is the scary thing here. So we're going to have to snap the Guardian. Play Battlement. And that's it? No, they're going to untap their Battlement to play Guardian. Okay, yeah. Yep. So first thing, we snap the Guardian. Our Loose Focus is basically meaningless now, though. Can't really do anything with it. Play our Seagate Oracle. Find an Ephemerate. Play land. Cast Meeting of the Mines. It doesn't matter, right? We don't have to cast the Meeting of the Mines just yet. They're going to replay the Axebane, but maybe they'll tap out, I guess. I just feel like we're not going to win this specific game. They're considering how to win here. They must have lots of options. Play land. They play Pilgrim. We know they played the Battlement last turn. They're going to transmute. Plays Llanowar Elves. They play... What's happening? Drift of Phantasms for the Tuk Tuk. Play the Tuk Tuk. So how much mana do they have? 1. Okay. 1. They have 3 mana. Jeez. Somehow we're just dying here. Couldn't tax them enough. Reach from the real. Do we get there? I don't know if they have an untap still. Counter? Can we do it? Oh my goodness. Brutal. Pass the turn. We're going to cast Meeting of the Mines. Tap, tap. Draw some cards. Ephemerate. Looking for, I don't know. If on a preordain. Preordain. Find a familiar. So I will bottom this, top the familiar. Play the island. Pass the turn. Play their Grizzly. So they can do quite a bunch. If we find another Archaeomancer here, I think we can just snap them out. So we still have the Ephemerate resolving, and we can just snap everything. Since we have the familiar flicker snap combo, they whiff on a creature. They play the Grizzly again. They hit the Jesper Sentinel, cast the Jesper Sentinel. Just going to keep valuing. So the other thing we could get is we could get our Last Breath. So I think I'm going to cycle for a Plains here. Get the Overgrown Battlement. They play the Caretaker. I think they must have. They did. They whiff. Grizzly. Whiff again. Okay, so I think I'm going to cycle for the Plains in case I get a Last Breath. I'm going to Ephemerate. Looking for Last Breath or Archaeomancer. Seagate Oracle is okay. Find a Sage or Denizen. So let's play the familiar. Play Seagate Oracle, or we could flicker, looking for the last breath. It's probably better. Draw, find a snap, which is decent. Find an ephemerate. Okay, so we'll snap the grizzly, I guess. No. We can try ephemerating on the Seagate Oracle, looking for the last breath still. Find a Chancery, which will be good with the snap later. Just make them spend mana on something. I guess the grizzly. Snap the grizzlier. Grizzly bird. They're gonna activate it again. They whiff again. They have a lot of activations though. They whiff again. Jeez. We're going to cycle for an island. Play the Seagate Oracle. Take the Muldrifter. So at this point, if I get a familiar or an Archaeomancer, I can win the game. They also have to somehow not kill me this turn. Grizzly Bear, miss. Grizzly Bear. Okay, that's the game. They finally got there. Rough. Draw cards. We did not get there. So they could just cycle for their what's it face? I'm trying to think while I'm doing stuff. They could have just cycled for their Galvanic Alchemist and then play the Alchemist, made infinite mana, draw their deck with the Grizzly, find their win condition, kill us. So that's why I scooped. Okay, we're on the play. We have Preordained, Last Breath, Counterspell. I'm going to keep... The problem is that this is how we're going to get the land, so if we whiff, we're dead. We did not whiff. We're going to top that and pass the turn. We still need to find a more lands, I guess. Land, pass. Right now they're on one land. I'm going to lose focus this. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to Broker's Hideout, pass the turn. I'm going to get a Plains, I guess? I think I want to put the Plains in case I want to Last Breath. They lead the Stampede. I'm going to Counterspell. Let's Chancery, pass the turn. We are the control deck. 2, they cast Winding Way. Okay. That resolves. Find a bunch of stuff. So I guess if they play... I'm going to use my Lose Focus while I can. They're going to have more mana than this. They're going to have a ton of mana next turn. Let's counter. They could play the Jespera now. We know 3 of the 5 in their hand. Play Seagate Oracle. Get the snap. Let's just pass. 5 mana for the opponent and 5 cards in hand. They have actually 6 mana with the Caretaker Jespera. Bloodright, Drift, Repository Scob are all not really very useful. They could play the Scob right now to get back a Lead the Stampede or Winding Way. Looks like that's the plan. Exploits a creature. They're going to exploit, get back Winding Way, cast Winding Way. Okay. So the Scob's in the graveyard. We also got Lead the Stampede, Forest, Scob. Okay. We're going to end step Ephemerate, get Muldrifter. So we want as many cards drawn as possible. That's why I took the Muldrifter there. Ephemerate the Seagate Oracle. Familiar is great. Okay. Sunscape Familiar. We have the Ephemerate. Play the Familiar. Going to snap this. Tap on tap. Play Archaeomancer. Get Ephemerate. And they scoop. Alright. Let's go. Same thing. We have so many counters. Yeah. You could consider bringing in Hydroblast over the Sage's Road Denizen. You don't know if it's necessarily better. I guess it would be better. Still wouldn't be better there. We're gonna mulligan this hand for sure. We go to 6, they go to 6. Alright. We're going to keep. So what are we gonna put back? Probably the Flicker. Keep, put back the Flicker. Done. We have turn 2, Familiar. They have Grand Ranger on turn 1. Land, cycle, have an island. So if they go tap on tap, tap, play Caretaker, play an Orochi Leafcaller, which is scary. 2 cards in hand. We are going to lead with the Familiar, though. We need to get our mana on the table, basically. We only have 2 lands right now. Okay, they're tapping, untapping, tapping, untapping, tapping, and untapping. You have 2 mana, 3, 4, 5 mana. Plays an Axebane Guardian. Step 1, snap the Guardian. So I could just evoke the Muldrifter for draw 2. I think that's probably the best. We're not getting any closer to lands otherwise. Okay, cast Meeting of the Minds. Wow. Wrecked. At least we got the Meeting of the Minds there. That was good. Rubble Fort. They attack. 3, 4. So we have Broker's Hideout. That gets us an island. Then we can snap the Rubble Fort. Then they can still cast it. Snap this guy. Untap, untap. Play the Familiar. We just played that land, right? So we're going to pass. Right now they have 3 mana, 4, 5 mana. So they can go for the Rubble Fort again into the Axebane. But we'll have to lose focus for the Axebane. Rubble Fort, okay. You're going to tap. Untap, okay. Plays a land. Tap. Tap, tap. Plays the Axebane. And we have the counter. Counter. Now we can play Seagate Oracle. So upon resolution, we cast Meeting of the Minds. Draw some cards. Alright, that's pretty good. Pass the turn. Or no, not passing. Let's get Shapoopy. I want all of these things. I really want the Ephemerate so I can Arcane-Mancer Ephemerate. I can also Ephemerate right now and cast Meeting of the Minds. Let's take the Ephemerate. I guess I'm going to pass. See what happens. On my next turn, I can do all sorts of stuff. And even on their end step, I can do all sorts of stuff. We'll play Battlement. I'm going to say that's fine. I don't know. Let's exile the Rubble Fort. This is a tough situation. I'm going to exile the Rubble Fort, though. Oop, I'm just going to counter it. Counter. So Adeptus says lots of counter spells. Ouch. Ouch. I said I'm trying my best. They untap. So they have 4 in hand. Now they have 2 cards in hand. 3 cards. They cast Lead the Stampede. Battlement Jaspera. They cannot cast a Battlement this turn, right? They can cast a Jaspera, but not the Battlement. Cast Jaspera. Let's Ephemerate this guy. And then Meeting of the Minds. Draw some cards. Take the Chancery. We attack for 1. That's okay. We're going to Ephemerate again. I think we are going to win here. We'll see. Double Arcane-Mancer. It's probably good. Tap, tap, like this. Pick up the planes. We're going to snap the Rubble Fort. Untap, untap. Arcane-Mancer. Back Ephemerate. Ephemerate the Mancer. Okay, they skipped it up. Phew. Tight. And we'll go to the round 4. Alright, we're on the play versus Papia Nyan. I'm going to keep this. We have Snap. We have Seagate Oracle on turn 3. I think they're sort of a burn player, but we'll find out. Everybody's a burn player now. Come on. We all are burn players. Nope, they're not. Mono Blue Fairies player. That's, you know, all basics all the time. Not Mono Blue Fairies. Delver. What? Mono Blue Terror Fairies Delver? Something as crazy is happening. So that's sort of why we're playing the loose focus here to handle the terror. Do I want to just run the seed or go into a counterspell? 1, 2. Let's pass. The mental note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going to play a terror, and we're going to counter it. That's why we're playing loose focus. Pass the turn. Same targets. Playing Vapor Snag. Are they playing Force Spike, though? They might be playing Force Spike. I'm afraid of a Force Spike. Play the Seagate Oracle. Find a Snap, Meeting of the Minds. Gonna go with Snap. I don't know what. I feel like Meeting of the Minds is probably better there. Let's see if they have another terror. They have a Delver. We can attempt to kill their Delver. Let's go for snap first. Snap the Delver. They let us have that. So now we can Seagate Oracle. Find a Mole Drifter. We can cast Meaning of the Mines right now, or just attempt to counterspell the Delver. Sorry about all the flizzles. I'm just pretty tired right now, I guess. But we are having fun. 3-0. Delver. Sure. Let's just counter it. Make them use their mana on their turn, right? They have Spell Pierce. Okay, I kind of felt like there was a Spell Pierce coming. I'm glad the Spell Pierce on the happened there, not in a different spot. They brainstormed to make their Delver grow. So it's a Delver Terror deck with Spell Pierce. Let's see if they're going to play anything else. They play a Terror. Alright. Broker's Hideout. Grabbing an island. So we're at 21 now, turning their clock down. I'm going to snap the Delver. They don't have a response. We're going to play Mole Drifter. We don't have a response again. Meaning of the Mines for 2. We have 2 Meaning of the Mines. We can't do anything about this Terror that's on the table. And they're going to have a Delver coming up. It's going to take the 5. At this point, we're looking for flickers to block and flicker with. They cast a Serpentine Curve. Okay, that's annoying. We're going to pass, then plan on blocked flicker. Cast Meaning Mines. Flicker these guys. We can pay for a Spell Pierce. They have the counterspell. Kind of expected that. Cycle for an island. Pass the turn. They have a Delver in hand. No, they're Rainstorming, okay. Place the Delver, 2 cards in hand, 1 card in hand. I feel that I'm going to be able to resolve the snap. We'll find out. Snap your snake, and tap. Kill your Delver. Cast Meaning of the Mines. Look at those free spells. Bam! And we find a flicker. We're on the table. Upkeep, I'm going to cycle just to thin. We're going to take 5 here. We play another curve. Okay. So we know they didn't have a counter before. Cycle, grab an island, draw, familiar, okay. Play Fam. I'm gonna attack. Cast a flicker. Leaving open the white in case I draw a faithful. You have a Spell Pierce. Nope, they don't have Spell Pierce, so we win the game. Kabam! Fractal tokens. Okay, don't need the Sage Row. Bringing in some negate. Well, actually, the counterspell for their big creatures, right? I feel like the Last Breath is not necessary. Bringing in negate too. So we have 1, 2, 3 ways to counter their Terror. I think I'm going to trim this for the negate. Negates for their snakes. Alright. Okay, Faithful into Familiar into Medium Mines. They play a land go. Broker's Hideout, pass a turn, getting the plains. We're just going to jam the Familiar on turn 2. They go for the Thought Scour, milling a Delver Island. So far their Terror cost 1. Let's turn this off. Attempt to cast a Familiar. That resolves. Oh, they mill Terror Delver. Yeesh. Unlucky. 1, 2. So Terror costs 5 now. Terror costs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't even know what I'm talking about. They can probably cast a Terror. They mill. Wow, they milled over a counterspell. I'm gonna play the Seagate Oracle because it gets past the Spell Pierce. We're looking for land though. Okay, let's see. Guess we take the snap. Pass the turn. Frantic Inventory for the opponent. 4 islands in play. Let's see if they cast a snake. So they're trying to cast a Terror now. They play another inventory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there's a Terror. Okay, Faithful or the Familiar. Play the Faithful. Play the Chancery. Picking up the plains. Cast a Preordain. See if they will bite and Spell Pierce it. They spell pierce it. Okay, sure. We're not going to pay, but we are going to draw 2. Kabam. Draw 2 cards. All right, your turn. So next turn we have Sunscape Familiar. We can play some Drifter Ephemerate or Drifter Snapdrifter shenanigans. Depends if they tap out or not. They play Vapor Snag on the Familiar. Land. Let's cast a Familiar. Counterspell. Cast a Familiar. And I guess I'm going to save the Meaning of the Minds for their turn. They Thought Scour, milling over Spell Pierce Island. Spell Pierce. Alright, so they probably have 4 Spell Pierce in their deck. Play another land. They're going to get in for 5. What? Nope, they just decide to scoop. Okay, we would have drawn some more cards, so... Okay, we can't see it. Let's go to round 5. Okay, reverse Matt Flacco. Let's go. Mulligan. Yep. Gonna get rid of the lose focus here, I think. Lose focus at the bottom. Prohibit. I'm keeping it prohibit just because that's an earlier play. I don't know. Maybe the lose focus was better. Hard to say. I don't know what Matt Flacco was on. We're just looking for lands. Top. And we'll see what they do. Are you on burn? What? Okay. I don't know what this means. It could be like mono black Ponza, which would be bad for me running out the familiar, or it could be Poison Storm, or it could be some other storm deck. What is going on? Let's preordain, leaving up our prohibit. Bottom and top of Meeting the Minds. We can cast the Meeting the Minds on their end step. They don't do anything. So some sort of black-red storm deck. Another red land. And nothing. We'll cast Meeting the Minds, draw some cards. If they're playing Storm, they likely don't have a way to damage us or interact with like my creatures. Just evoke this and Ephemerate. Trying to hold up my prohibit. We find Seagate Oracle, Muldrifter, Preordain, some lands. No, we're advancing. I just don't know what's happening. We're going to end step cycle for an island if nothing happens. Could be like a Bitter Reunion Exhume deck. They have a lot of red mana. Play Chromatic Star. Okay. Clearly a storm deck. We get to Ephemerate again, so we draw even more cards. Kablamo. Looking for familiars. Archaeomancer is good. Okay, we'll play the Archaeomancer, get back the Ephemerate. Play the Chancery, pick up the island. And then we're going to discard, or picking up the plane, sorry. We're going to discard the hideout and the land and the other land. Preordain. We play land, 4 mana, 6 mana. They're just tapping all their mana, playing an Olmoc's Crusher. Okay, sure. So it is some sort of Exhume deck. Snap. Poor opponent. They scoop. Oh, it sucks. Okay, Last Breath is bad. Sage's Row is probably bad. We can cut one of these. Obviously, we want the negates for the Exhumes. Potentially the Counterspell. We want all of our snaps. We might want Hydroblasts. There's some sort of Reanimator deck. Alright. We're a heavy Counterspell deck against a Reanimator deck. I can't believe I'm facing this, but I'm excited to see what happens. So we have Snap and Loose Focus. I guess I'm keeping. We also have Meeting the Minds. But we don't have a third land. Land pass. The worst case scenario would be like Dark Ritual looting into Exhume here. We don't have it. Land, pass the turn. We actually could have played the Chancery, discard the Muldrifter. That would have been maybe a good idea. This might be the Exhume list from Bryant Cook. The Reanimator list. Dark Ritual. 4 mana. Yeah, Dark Ritual resolves. Simian Spirit Guide, they're going to cast a Crusher. They play Goliath Paladin. That's pretty bad. Is this my Turbo Initiative Paladin? Turbo Initiative list? Turbo Initiative Exhume? Alright. Okay. we're getting Reanimated dead. Cycle for an island, play the Chancery, pass the turn, pick up this. Gonna discard one Muldrifter, just in case they cast an Exhume. So they're gonna power up their Goliath Paladin with the Undercity. They get to play the Forest. Then we can snap the Paladin and play the Muldrifter. They don't seem like they have any snuff outs that they can cast right now. Who knows? We go to 15. So now we know we need to keep the so here comes an Avenging Hunter. Problems. Gross. Play a land. Petal. Right. Snap. Snap again. Then we'll go Drifter Ephemerate. Plan on attempting to counter their creature. Okay. So our best possible outcome here is that they have no extra mana and they cast their creature and then we attack and take the initiative. They have the mana though. Okay. Certainly annoying. So if we counter this right now, they're still going to get it into the battlefield. Guess I'm going to try to counter it, use my mana, make them use their mana. Then I can take the initiative next turn. Let's see what they hit though. They find an Olmoc's Crusher, of course. So we're going to just Ephemerate this time, since we need the snap. All right, snap the Crusher. I can't snap the Crusher. That's annoying. So play Seagate Oracle, get the Archaeomancer, play this, pass the turn, discard, snap the Crusher. So they're going to now be able to get a land and cast the initiative again. We can't do anything about it. That's going to be a 7 some odd. Okay, they attack. No blocks. We go to 5. I think we might be able to do this though. We play another Avenging Hunter. Yeah, that stinks. It makes our creature bigger. So we can Archaeomancer, get snap, snap the Avenging Hunter, untap, untap, play Seagate Oracle. So we have lots of blocks. Grabbing the, let's see, do we want another Archaeomancer or Ephemerate? We can Archaeomancer for the Ephemerate. Let's just get the second Archaeomancer in case we can draw into like a flicker. Somehow I think we're in an okay spot. Okay, we take the initiative. We're gonna grab an island or plains. Grab a plains just in case we need it. And we pass. We're at 5 life. They have Crusher in hand and 2 initiative creatures in hand. I'm not even mad, I'm impressed. Okay, they attack. We're going to block and block. Take 0. Draw. We're going to forge. Forge up. Put the counters on my Seagate Oracle. Now we can just turtle. So we have a prohibit. We can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Play Archaeomancer, getting back the Ephemerate. And then we can Ephemerate to get back the loose focus and pass the turn. No attacks. If they go for like a Dark Ritual here, we'll just counter the Dark Ritual. Pride of Flame, negate. Oh, geez. So, yeah, phew. That was luck sacking. Okay, block. I felt like they didn't have enough rituals to pay for their creature, and it seemed like they didn't, but they still might. If they can get the initiative right now, we die. Oh no! I didn't consider that. Wow, that was a mistake. Counterspell comes in. We probably want the Faithfuls and not the Hydroblasts. What else can we cut? I guess the Prohibit. Or Prohibit. Doesn't really matter. Submit. Mistakes were made. Okay, keep land Faithful, turn to Chancery, and then we're just gonna hope that we can counter them. Their initiative nonsense. What have I done? What did I create? Land, faithful, go. They play a tap land. Lotus Petal. Don't do it. Avenging Hunter. Zoom. What a day. What a day for the good guys. Hashtag wrecked. Annoying and sad. I brought this onto the world. Chancery pass. So disappointed. Okay. So they're going to rely on the Avenging Hunter to win them the game. We need to find a creature. They are going to attack us for 7. Bam, we're dead. Best case scenario would be Moldrifter here for off the top for us. Dang. It's the turn. I can't believe I misplayed there. That stunk. Counter your Avenging Hunter that you spent so much mana to cast. No thanks. No thank you. That's a turn. Come on, creature. Not the creature I wanted. That's a turn. Could just have another Exhume here. That's a turn again. They're going to Archives. They get to draw cards. They're 5 in hand. They're going to cast another big old creature. Avenging Hunter. Come on. Well, they're going to get another Avenging Hunter. This is really kind of ridiculous. Alright, well, we lost to my funny creation of turn 1 Avenging Hunter, so I guess I can't be mad. But that was not the way I wanted it to go. Definite misplay there. We'll see you in the next video.